My name is Tammy Moniz, and we're here at the Outrigger Waikiki Beach Resort with Surfers in Residence. And today I have a special guest, and his name is Mark Cunningham, a very dear friend, enduring to the islands and the people of Hawaii and to our community. And we're so thankful to have you with us today.
Thank you, Tammy. So today's show is Body Surfer in Residence?
A Body Surfer in Residence, you know, water.
I'm at the right place.
Well, Mark is a legend here. I mean, you know, we use that term way too easily these days when we call, you know, little kids legends. And you know, Mark is a legend and a living one because you know, we want to celebrate you now for your life and for all that you have brought to our islands and all that you've seen, all that you've been a part of with our ocean and ocean safety, to the children and to the adults alike. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be here?
Yeah. So we're in Waikiki, and it's this very special place and Outrigger. So why don't we just start with your first experience of, you know, the Outrigger and how, you know, it's been an impact in your life.
Very good. I was made in Hawaii, but I was born in Massachusetts. That's where Mom and Dad were both from, and my father got stationed here after World War II. He worked for the Federal Aviation Agency. And myself and my two older sisters, we grew up in New Valley by the shopping center there. And lucky for me, Dad was a member of the Elks Club right down the road here. And they had a beautiful pool, and I sort of learned how to swim, and I saw the lifeguard sitting by the pool with his Ray-Bans and tan and fit and strong and going out on surf break. And I go, that is pretty cool. And one thing that I remember, the Elks Club would send out a newsletter, and there's a beautiful silhouette of Diamond Head, much like this. And its little slogan was, where the slopes of Diamond Head meet the sands of Waikiki. And that's kind of where I got to grow up and play. And I was also very fortunate growing up in new suburbia in the 60s in New Valley. It seemed like a lot of the neighbors had swimming pools. And so I knew all the neighbors who had pools, or I befriended their kids. And so between New Valley and the Elks Club, and I guess my first surf was right in front of the club, and then eventually worked my way out to Tongs. And it wasn't on a surfboard. It was on one of those styrofoam boards that you used to be able to buy at Long's drugstore.
Yes, the white ones.
A twin fin thunderboard, and a twin keel sort of. And I used to get the worst rashes until I figured you covered it with wax and wear a t-shirt, you'd be okay. And I'd broken an awful lot of those, putting them in the neighbor's pool, running across the deck, jumping on it and trying to get to the other side of the pool. And I'm just so lucky I didn't crack my skull open. You know, I think we did it when the parents weren't around. But so that was sort of the introduction to getting wet in the water. And my mom would go to Kahala Beach too, and tiny little beaches and swimming holes there. And we have wonderful pictures of myself and my two older sisters with Cocoa Head in the background there. So I just feel so lucky and blessed that I get to grow up here. You know, we can, back then, and kids nowadays too, you run around in shorts and that's about all. And slippers maybe, but back then we didn't even wear slippers. So lucky with that.
Awesome. When does the first love for like the ocean, for body surfing or for surfing happen? Like what was that?
Oh boy. Well, like I say, you know, just as kids in the shallow, calm waters off of Kahala, and then getting more comfortable in the pool, and then the surf sort of out at Tongs. And then as I got a little bit older, my first surfboard was, so this was late 60s, early 70s, I guess. And this was the transition era when the longboards were going down, boards were getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and neighborhood guys were stripping the fiberglass off the tankers and doing backyard shapes. And so I always kind of joked that the reason I was such a bad surfer because the boards were so bad during the transition era. I was swimming and body surfing after my board quite a bit. And once again, this is pre-leash.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so if you lost your board, you had to know how to swim and body surf. And so one of my mentors out at New Picos was my go-to spot. That was, we'd run right across Kalanianiole Highway.
That's right around Diamond Head.
Yeah, just a few miles down the road from Diamond Head, between Ainahaina and Hawaii Kai there. And what was I saying now? See, I told you. Talking about surfing, the sit-down boards. Oh, what Picos. So one of my early mentors was an older guy who lived in the neighborhood, Herbie Knudsen, who is a great body surfer. He was turned into a firefighter. And Herbie saw me sort of swimming and body surfing after my board. So I said, here, why don't you try these fins? And I got a pair of duck feet on, and I found as a gangly, uncoordinated, growth spurting teenager that swimming and being in the water was a lot easier than sort of standing on top of it and performing, sort of. I love board surfing, don't get me wrong, but I'm not very good at it. But I feel like I'm on stage when I'm board surfing. I sort of get stage fright, like, oh, everyone's watching you, make the drop, you're gonna rip, you're gonna kook out. And but whereas being in the water instead of on top of it felt very comforting to me. I felt like I was being hugged and held and embraced by the ocean there.
Well, it's quite amazing watching you in the water. I've watched you body surf at Pipeline, which is a treacherous wave. But the grace and the beauty of being one with the energy of the wave, as well as like when there's this weird entry, is almost dolphin-like.
Oh,
you know?
Well, because you don't have a board or flotation device helping you, you're trying to be as fluid as possible. You're trying to be as efficient as possible, whether it's diving in, swimming out, positioning in the lineup, jockeying for just the right spot, and then the actual takeoff, It's like the positioning and the takeoff, I almost like the most. It's like sort of a chess match on where you're going to put yourself and to match the momentum of the wave.
Yeah.
And then, riding the wave is fun too, but it's the whole dance.
Yeah,
it's just, just like surfers, the actual time riding a wave, 5% of the experience.
Yeah.
It's all about getting your gear ready and going to the beach and checking out the conditions and seeing your friends and finding your lineup and paddling out and waiting your turn, and then you get a wave and then you paddle out and you talk story and you wait. But actual time, actually riding the wave is real manini, but it's the whole beautiful thing and the cast of characters on the beach and out in the lineup that we love so much.
Yeah, well, this embracing of the ocean has kept you in the ocean and active in the ocean to this day.
Yes.
Mark goes body surfing all over the island, and he does enjoy it with my son-in-law,
Yes.
Joe, and Joe is so fond of you,
Oh.
and we all are fond of you and enjoy so much watching you as a man in our community be such a beautiful representation of what the ocean has to bring you.
Thank you, Tammy. That was very kind of you. I just feel so lucky that I got to grow up here, and I had great role models. So after Picos and stuff, starting to go to Sandy Beach and Makapu, I saw the lifeguards in action there, the older lifeguards there, and I go, these guys are great. They're at the beach, they're strong, they're fit, and they're helping people. And I think that's a quality that most lifesavers and first responders, firefighters, paramedics, people in the health profession, we like helping people.
Nice.
And so for me to be able to sort of combine my love of the ocean with that sense of gratitude and happiness I get from helping people was very rewarding to me. I knew I was taking on a vow of poverty when I signed up to be a lifeguard, but I'm a firm believer in karma. And I tried to keep my nose clean and help people, and life's been good to me.
Yeah.
And I feel very blessed for everyone I know from the beach and from the surf and the surfing community and all the international travelers that come to our shores here, and we get to cross paths. I remember out at Pipeline quite a few times I'd be talking to visitors. They'd come up to the lifeguard tower. We have a saying, I'd rather talk to you than have to rescue you. Come ask me questions before it's after the fact. But I talk, where are you from? You know, what's the weather like? How do you get here? Yada, yada, yada. And I go, wow, that sounds wonderful. I'd like to go there one day. And they'd go, oh, don't worry. You're doing just fine here in Hawaii. You know, you're in a pretty good place. So.
Yeah.
Feel very,
we're glad you stayed.
We're
very glad you stayed.
It's home. It's home.
Yeah.
Always will be.
How old were you when you started lifeguarding?
I've got a funny lifeguarding story. Starting lifeguarding, I went to school at UC Santa Barbara and played water polo for a couple of years after graduating from Punahou. And I was really homesick. I wasn't doing well scholastically. But I was in the best shape of my life. We were doing twice-a-day workouts with weights and swimming, and I was riding my bike into Santa Barbara City for my first summer of lifeguarding. But my first summer of lifeguarding was 1975, between my freshman and sophomore year at college. And that was the summer following the spring or early summer when the movie Jaws came out. Okay. Nobody went swimming that summer. The beaches were empty. I talked to the old timers and they're like, no one's swimming this summer. That movie was that heavy and that impactful.
Wow.
It was so, it's, I can't even make an analogy or what to compare it to on what a sort of contemporary horror film it was back in the day. Yeah. So I was 18 years old. My first summer of lifeguarding was 1975 in Santa Barbara. And by next summer, I was working for the city and county of Honolulu. We did our training class at the natatorium.
Whoa.
And I thought I was Tantara hotshot body surfing champion. And I was going to end up at Sandy Beach or Makapu. And they made the rookie pay the dues. I had to go drive out to Pokai Bay in the middle of the summer. My first car was Dad's 61 Chevy Impala.
Wow.
And okay, you're bringing back all these things. That was the summer. You remember? You're too young. Do you remember the gas crisis? No. See, you're too young. There was a summer they had the oil embargo, and gas was hard to come by and very expensive. You could only buy gasoline for your car depending on the last number of your license plate.
No.
If it was an even number on the last number of your license plate, you could buy gas on an even number day. If it was an odd number, you could only buy gas on an odd number day, just to stop. Anyway, I ran out of gas a few times between Pokai Bay and New Valley.
So Pokai Bay is very far.
My first summer of driving. But I met a lot of wonderful lifeguards out on the west side, and I got to spend time with the Blears family out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, Jimmy Blears, a former world champion surfer, was lifeguarding out there between Makaha and the North Shore, and he had a younger brother, Clinton, who was pretty proficient at Pipeline back in the day. And Clinton and I were pretty good pals. Nice. So it was fun to make friends with the guards out there. By the end of the summer, I was at Sandy Beach in Makapu.
Okay.
And that winter of 76, I was out on the North Shore.
Wow. No wonder you have such a broad scape of like community. Like, you know, you really do. Right?
I feel like I'm still a townie, you know. I still feel like
townies.
Yeah.
Townies.
But you know, so 76 was sort of the beginning of living and lifeguarding out at the North Shore. And I had a 20-year run out there of being on the beach. Wow. And being a part of the community. And what I love to remind people about is that the North Shore is not an amusement park. It's a community where, you know, families go through life and death and birth and marriages and the cycle of life, the circle of life goes on there. It's not an amusement park where it's just surfing and party on the beach kind of deal. And so I was very lucky to, you know, be a part of the community there besides having a job there and enjoying the benefits of everything that was going on offshore.
Nice.
And then that was, you know, 76, 77, that was sort of the beginning of professional surfing. There were a handful of contests before that, but this was sort of the beginning of what Fred Hemmings and Randy Rarick created, the IPS, International Professional Surfing. And 76 or 77 when I think Peter Townend became the first world champion. And, you know, thank God for Fred Hemmings and Randy Rarick and Bernie Baker creating the Triple Crown, and that sort of became the preeminent sort of surfing event to be a part of. So it's I feel lucky. I feel very Forrest Gump that I got to meet all my surfing heroes.
Right?
They'd be living in, I mean, when I first, in high school even, I'd go out there and Butch Van Aartsdalen would be in the tower, the first like Mr. Pipeline. I was just, oh my gosh, it's Butch, you know? And I moved out there and started lifeguarding, and Butch was, you know, coming towards the end of his career. But on the beach, you'd have these great sort of first generation of the big wave riders who moved to the North Shore for their passion of big wave riding. And there was Fred Van Dyke a few houses down, and there was Peter Cole over there, and there was Warren Harlow with his house right in front of Pipeline. And Flippy Van Dyke had his house, and Jose Angel was down at Rock Piles, and you'd see these guys working out on the beach or doing their yard work or out and about in the community. So as, you know, a young surfer, I've been reading the magazine. Remember magazines?
Yes, they were there.
Used to be surfer and surfing magazines, and now it's on our phone. But back then the magazine would come out every 2 months, and you'd read it cover to cover and memorize the caption and the photographer and the story. And
that's all you had.
These guys became our role models.
Yeah.
And so I just feel so lucky to have been a part of that.
So you're dearly loved by our community. We just had Kelly Slater here last month, and he had a couple stories, endearing stories about you as well. So, you know, and I know you have a very, you know, close relationship with him, and he's a very big part of surfing, you know, surfing's history, Kelly is. So in your lifetime, with WSL, all the changes with, you know, from the beginning to now, what is the greatest advancement, or what, you know, that you've seen?
The greatest advancement in professional surfing? I'm thinking maybe that so many people have a wonderful livelihood from it, that professional surfing. When I was a kid, my mom thought I was going to be a surf bum. Surfers were kind of bums back in the day. And that, you know, your husband Tony in that first generation of sorts of professional, everything keeps advancing and moving forward. And these guys are traveling the world and having incredible experiences, and it's growing and evolving, and I think all for the better. Yeah. I think, you know, if more people spent more time in the water, the world would be a better place.
Right.
Whether they're surfing, swimming, or just waiting out there with a Mai Tai.
Right.
Go chill.
Hey. So with lifeguarding, being a part of lifeguarding for so long as well, and actually that was your job, right?
Yes,
you lifeguarded, as well as you, in the last 10 years, you said, before
I was
your
with our
retirement.
training department,
Yes.
for the city and county of Honolulu. The first 20 years out at Ehukai Beach Park for the most part. And then the last 10 years, I was with our training department, and one part of that job was we'd stop training. All our guards have to go through a recertification class annually, and then we train and hire the new guards also. I think the part of the job I'm most proud of is helping to establish the junior lifeguard program.
Amazing.
Many summers ago, and to have seen it growing, you know, statewide is very rewarding. We have quite a few guards, men and women, manning the tower now who are little Groms going through the junior lifeguard program. So that's
What does
maybe
a junior lifeguard program look like? You know, what does that look like?
What does it look like? We targeted teens. I know they do it all over the world. California's been doing it for ages. Australia, they call it the nippers. And we started with teens 13 to 17 because we thought when you're younger, you're still maybe summer fun, summer school, but it's that tween age where you're not old enough for a job, but old enough to get into trouble, you know. And so let's get them on the beach and make them akamai. That's, you know, just more aware, safety aware, beach and ocean safety. It's just a very brief introduction to the most basic surf life-saving skills, basic first aid, and being aware.
That's right. Well, if you were to share with any visitor coming, you know, people are coming, visiting our island, coming to this property and enjoying the surf here, as well as driving out to the North Shore. Like, what is your top things you'd like to, you know?
Tread slowly. Slow down, you know, and just be aware. And ask a lifeguard, ask a local. If you're thinking of swimming or snorkeling or jumping off the rocks here, don't rush into it. Always go feet first. And I know people can get so excited they're finally on vacation and they want to do it all because they only have a week vacation or what have you, but slow down, take it easy, and enjoy our beautiful shorelines and coastlines. But we're just a tiny little dot in the middle of the massive, powerful, strong Pacific Ocean. It really packs a punch. And so you sort of have to respect the ocean, definitely.
Nice, thank you. That's great. Well, you and your wife stayed here at the Outrigger.
We did.
Right?
Yeah.
How was that?
We had Valentine's weekend here. Hello. We had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
awesome.
Waikiki is just so wonderful
Yeah.
and powerful and
It's magical.
allure. It is. It really, birthplace of surfing? Could be, but the history of Waikiki, and it breaks my heart that the state of Hawaii doesn't have a surfing museum.
Yeah.
Why is that
I
not
know.
happening? But they do have Dukes downstairs. Take 15, 20 minutes and walk around Dukes and look at those pictures and read the captions and write down some of those names, the cast of surfers and beach boys and all the Kahanamoku brothers that have, started here in Waikiki.
Yes.
And I'm lucky that I got to cross paths in my career with, some of the beach boys.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, before we end here, sadly, very sad, but in your lifetime, like, what would you want to pass down to the next generation?
Be respectful, be polite, mind your manners, do your homework. I'm not a parent, but I'm doing pretty good. Keep your nose clean and pursue your passion. Any biography I've ever read of a successful or famous person is they, for the most part, pursued their passion, what they love to do. And one of my favorite sayings is, I've heard it attributed to several people, is something to the effect of 95% of success is showing up.
Wow.
I showed up. I put on my lifeguard uniform and I went to work 5 days a week, and I did it for a long time. And so people knew where to find me, or Mark's at the Mark's at Ehukai. Or the Monisas are at the beach stand. People, you show up and you do your thing and do your job.
That's great.
Do your job.
Wow, thank you. That was so
I
good.
hope that it.
Thank you so much. Love you, Mark Cunningham.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you for
Love
joining
the
us
Moniz
here.
family. The Moniz family has always been so good to me.
Thank you.
You and Tony and all the keiki, and now along come the grandkids.
Yeah.
And excited.
Good times.
What I've said about lifeguarding and surfing and all of this and living in Hawaii, I'm not the first, I'm not the greatest, I'm just a link in the chain. I'm not the greatest body surfing lifeguard. There are many before me, many greats, and there are many on the beaches as we speak right now. The talent of men and women lifeguarding and surfing today is just amazing. So I'm just honored to be in the conversation.
Well, we're so happy to have you, Mark Cunningham, a strong link in the surfing and ocean community. Thank you so much from Outrigger Waikiki and from Faith Surf School. My name is Tammy Moniz. Join us next month.
Thank you, Tammy.